Welcome everybody to week 30, 40, 50, who cares? Who knows? Doesn't matter because we're still in lockdown. The coronavirus is still rampaging its way around the world, and we are here to take your mind off of that of movies, music, and mayhem. I'm your host, Rachel Silvestrini. Thank you for coming back. If you're new, welcome. There's swearing and drinking, so heads up. Mostly by me, especially tonight, because my guest tonight is very sweet and very wonderful and kind of like the really nice version of me. Guys, this is the wonderful, fantastic Liz, Shannon Miller.
Hi, guys.
I saw you off screen laughing about that. I was like, no, it's 100% true.
I mean,
so how are you?
Good. I mean, actually, kind of. It's every time I feel like I say I'm doing well right now, like for the last 10 months or so, I feel a little guilty because things are awful right now and all that. But puttering around in my own little world, things are good. I have heat and water, which is something we should not take for granted. And the cat is running around. Maybe she'll make an appearance later. Who knows? Yeah. So how about you? How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm just a few hours north of you, up in San Jose. So the weather is mild. I have all of the working amenities, and my heart, all of our hearts go out to everybody who's in Texas right now. That's huge and crazy what's going on there. So anything we can do to help, please let us know. We'll post links and donation buckets and everything to that. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Chris, I love you so much.
That'd work.
It would be amazing. Somebody else came up wanting to team me up with Riley so we could be Team Supercuts.
That's fantastic.
I was like, I'm for that. That sounds great. Like, I'll just make sure and get my hair done because right now it's looking a hot mess.
Yeah, it would work, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, throw some product in it, tease it up, hairspray it'd be fine.
You've done something with it, which I just keep letting it grow, and it's getting out of control a little bit.
I mean, I did. The color was when I freaked out in June, and I was like, I've been inside for 4 months. I need to do something. I'm going crazy. And so I bleached it. And then one day I was just kind of walking around the house and I was like, oh, look, scissors.
Oh, no.
Clip. I'm like, it's like the third time I've done that in my entire life. So also, where am I going? Who am I impressing?
Well,
no one.
I mean, actually, like I trimmed this myself, and I started doing the side bang type deal back in the summer. And I have to say, like my hair was just basically all one length up until that point. And cutting my own bangs, like I had a YouTube tutorial, and I just kind of went through it very carefully. But it was really empowering. Like I was like,
yeah,
this is the haircut I've always cut. This isn't the perfect haircut. Like I could probably stand to lose some stuff off the bottom, which I won't try to do myself. But it was a weirdly empowering moment to cut my own hair.
There's just something really fun about gathering your hair up in your hand and cutting it off. I don't know why. And you know what? It makes me sad. Like every time a girl does that, guys are always like, "Oh, she's going crazy," and it's like, yeah, I cut the crazy off. Like, that's what it was. Like,
that's a great way of putting it.
Like all of the crazy hangs out in these dead ends. So if you cut them off, it scares men because now you're not dragged down by your crazy.
So are you from San Jose? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if we talked about this. Like, I grew up in Mountain View.
Oh my God, are you serious? Did you go to MVH?
No, I went to Los Altos High. We were right by the border of between the two towns. Well, I lived in Mountain View for most of my childhood.
That's so funny. No, I did grow up here. I went to Limbrook.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I actually, funny enough, it's because I do a Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist recap show, and somehow through the TV gods and Twitter gods, I ended up with Andrew Leeds, Kapil, and Skylar on my show.
Oh, nice.
During the recap. And I come to find out that Kapil, like his childhood house is like a 20-minute walk from my mom's house right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like he grew up just down the street, literally went to the high school seriously down my street. So he's going to be on. I'm going to have him on in like April, and we're just going to like just bore everybody by talking about San Jose in the Bay Area like constantly. But yeah, no, I grew up here. When did you move away?
Oh well, I basically we moved when I was like in the second grade, and then I came down to Los Angeles for school for college, and I forgot to leave.
So you're basically a native. Like I figure if you move down there before you like hit junior high.
Well, no, I mean no, I came down here for college, so I was 18.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but I mean, this is certainly the longest I've lived in any one place in my life. So I definitely feel like I can win that. Hi, look at that. It's Tank Girl.
Here's Tank Girl.
Yeah, Tank Girl's on the move. She's full of beans.
Well, the last time I saw her, it was against me. So I understand she's like, I heard that voice, and this was a combative voice last time I heard it. So we're just going to come like, Mommy, oh.
Yes.
Sweet girl.
Yes. The checking on me with her paws is a thing she does occasionally, and it's very, very cute. It's less cute at 6:30 in the morning when she wants me to wake up and feed her. But, you know.
Well, that's not checking on you. That's her being like, Mom. Mom. Food. Sorry, my phone started blinking. Okay, so you grew up here. You go down to LA for college. What was your major? I'm guessing it's entertainment inside.
Yeah, I studied screenwriting, and it was fun. I mean, it was basically like the film program had like the film program at USC has 3 different like schools, or programs rather, as an undergrad. So you take either production, writing, or critical studies. At least this was the point. This is when I was attending it, which was a while ago, to the point where I actually technically have a degree that does not no longer exists. I have a degree from the School of Cinema Television, which is not what it's called anymore. It's called the School of Cinematic Arts. And my degree is in filmic writing, which is not a word. But
I was about to say, please define that.
Filmic, it was 2 words, but filmic was tripping up my spell check for all 4 years of school. But yeah, I studied screenwriting, and then, you know, but I think like it was basically like an education in film, and with a focus on writing. And the big thing I took away from it is like I just really enjoy telling stories, and that can be in screenplay format, that can be in play format, that can be short story or novel format, and it can also be in journalism. Like I usually, for most of the work I do as part of my day job, I approach writing as storytelling, and so it's like I'm telling the story of this person's journey to make their film or whatever.
Yeah, which is a great like behind the scenes, and also like it's so much easier to follow. At least for me, it's easier to follow that type of narrative, where it's like in a story form versus like, these are all the facts, I'm just going to shove them down your throat. And I'm like, I can't focus on that. Like any time that I was in history, it was very much, I would just fall asleep unless like the teacher was engaging with a story and like telling us like kind of like a script version of what was going on, and be like, and then this happened, and da 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 da, and like you have to engage it that way, for me at least, because otherwise I pass out. Now, what got you into who did like your parents get you into movies, or like a sibling or a friend?
You know, it was kind of a mix of all the things. I mean, I basically just always grew up watching movies and TV and just consuming as much as I could at all times. And, you know, from there, so it's like one of those things where I can't tell you what the first movie I saw in the theater was. I can't tell you what the first movie I watched on VHS was. Like, because it's just like that. I was doing it from before conscious memory, basically. Mm-hmm. But I will say that, a really definitive moment in my life was the summer I watched Clerks on VHS with my best friend at the time. And she was the one who was already working at my local video store. And she said, I can get you a job at working at my local video store. And I was like, well, sure. And I believe I had just turned 16. And the woman who owned the store was a wonderful little mom and pop shop that lasted surprisingly long. It only shut down like maybe about less than 15 years ago.
Wow. Yeah,
it really went the distance as far as, you know, video stores went. But the woman who hired me was like, "You're 16 years old. Do you mind that we rent porn?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Great, you're hired." So I spent 2 years in high school working at a video store and getting to rent all the movies I wanted for free. And that went a long way towards making me a cinephile. Like I basically one summer I made a list of like all the movies that you're supposed to watch. And it was really long. And I think I got through the M's by the end of summer.
Wow.
And I can't remember how many movies were on the list, but it was like it's just knocking them out. Like Moonlight, Moonstruck. Like, I don't know why Moonstruck is the one. Maybe that was like one of the last ones I got to before I had to go back to school. But yeah, it was, having that experience was really wonderful. And also like, I loved working at a video store just because, I think I've said this in Schmodown post-game interviews, like, especially back then, not to date myself, but the internet wasn't like a matter of pulling out your phone and Googling the name of a movie.
No.
A major part of my job was just being like the person you went up to and said, "Hey, I'm trying to remember the name of that movie. It's the one with the guy does the thing."
Mm-hmm.
And I got pretty good at at being able to figure out what the name of the movie was where the guy did the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm that person for my mother still to this day. Like we'll be watching a movie and she's like, "That guy was in that movie with that other guy." And I'm like, "This movie," because I know what she's leading to. And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah."
No, it's like it is some of the best training you could ever ask for the Schmodown is playing that game. And it's why you should never use your phone first. You should always try to figure it out on your own.
Absolutely. Like I think no matter what was going on when we were hanging out like at PJ's place or something like that when he still lived in LA, there'd be a whole bunch of us and we'd be talking about something and one of us would be like, "Oh my God, what's that movie?" And we would all have like a mental brain fart and we would refuse. Like it was like playing chicken. Like their phone first, like lost. We didn't go to our phones very often. And when we did, it was usually like, "Okay, we have to find this out. Like it's going to bother us the rest of the night. We're not going to do anything. Somebody pick up their phone." Yeah. And it was like a pass. But yeah, I think a lot of the people in the Schmodown have either worked at a video store or worked at a movie theater. I did both. I worked at a Blockbuster seasonally for Christmas with like the one caveat that like when they hired me, I was like, "Look, I want to work here. It's great. I'm working at the AMC. It's fantastic. So much fun. So might not work here too." I was like, "The only thing is I can't work Christmas Day." Mm-hmm. They're like, "Great." I'm like, "Perfect. Put it in my file, whatever." I got scheduled, told my manager I couldn't do it. She said I had to come in anyway. I didn't come in. I got fired. And I was like,
I mean, that's, you made it clear that you couldn't work on Christmas Day. Like that's not on you, man.
Nope, not at all. And like I told I got a call for like, I remember getting ready to sit down for Christmas dinner that day. And like my phone rang and my mom was like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "It's my boss." And she like literally was yelling at me like over the phone. And I was like, "I told you I'm not coming in today. Like I can't deal with this." And I hung up and my mom was like, "She's an idiot. Did you just get fired?" I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Ah, fuck it."
It's funny you talk about like hanging out with like Schmodown folk, like, because in the before times when we would tape matches in person, I definitely remember like, especially like the awkward moment, like especially when I first started doing it, like I didn't really know anyone that well. And like, I knew a couple of people before from other stuff before, but I was just kind of like the awkward kid standing in the corner, like trying to make conversation. And I distinctly remember sometimes when I would just kind of slide into a conversation about movies and be like, "Oh, are we talking about blah, blah, blah?" And then I would just start like trying to prove how big my movie dick is, so to speak, and just be like, "Oh, you mean that movie starring that guy, directed by that person, released in that year, written by this person? Oh, who also wrote this other movie, which I really like." I like what I'm doing. I'm not actually naming any. I haven't named a single specific movie in this whole conversation. I'm just.
Yeah. I totally remember those days too. Like I remember when I started off and came in, it was because Christian needed more women, mm-hmm. and I was willing to put myself out there for everyone. And I remember coming into the tapings, and I had been watching for forever, so I knew who everyone was.
Oh wow!
But no one knew who I was. So it was. I remember that awkward dance, and then all of a sudden you just like hear somebody's conversation, you just like slide into that group and then you just start talking and then they're like, oh, we're gonna go sit down. You want to sit with us? It's like, yeah. And then it's like that's the end of it. Like you just get pulled into the deep end and now you're stuck and you don't really care because you love it here.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I think like in the after times when we do start taping matches again, in person, I do think like, I mean, I didn't feel comfortable doing it then, but I do think now I'd be comfortable like talking to people and, finding the awkward kid in the corner and being like, hey, you want to sit with us, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so weird. It's so wild as adults. Like we can still have those situations. Like, I'm a member of the Television Critics Association, and this is a group like so that I get to go to the TCA press tour when it happens. And I remember the first year I went, it's summer camp for TV critics. Let's be very clear about it. I don't know how much you know about TCAs or how much you've heard.
I've heard some stories I'm not allowed to repeat, but
oh yeah, I've heard some of those too. But it's really funny because it's like, I grew up like reading like my favorite television journalists write about it, and then finally got to go myself. And what I discovered is like, it is a very professional, very interesting, very serious event in some respects, but it is also summer camp. And I very distinctly remember like literally holding a tray in like the dining area and being like, why am I back in my freshman year of high school? And I mean, like, honestly, it's like, there was one woman who was like my first camp friend, and she is someone I have such a fond place in my heart for. She was the person who like said, you can sit with us, and was very friendly and inviting. And so I've tried to be that person for other people for when I notice that person in the future, even though like I don't have a ton of experience, but I certainly have enough to know what it feels like to be that kid.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I kind of adopt people, and like when they come in, like Jill and Sean, when Sean Sullivan first came in, he and Jill were literally guests of Makuga for a taping, and the Makuga never showed up.
Oh
and
no!
So I saw them hanging out, and they were just literally like hanging out right by the door that comes in.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you guys can come in; it's totally fine. And we like introduced ourselves, and they were like, yeah, Makuga invited us, and no, we don't know where he is. And I'm like, that's fine. Come on, I'll show you around. I'm like, you're my kids now.
That's nice.
Like that's what it is. Like I kind of knew PJ before this whole thing before I started watching everything, like mainly because I was obsessed with his dog. Because if it has fur and a wagging tail, I'm instantly in love with it. And so we would talk online, and then I finally met him, and we were just like old friends already. So he was like, okay, let me show you around. And so whenever I see like new kids come in, I'm like, okay, let's do this. Like, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to show you around, teach you the rules, and we're going to have fun. And then we're going to go get drunk afterwards at Barney's. Yeah. Although not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's the ultimate example of pay it forward. Like, it's karmically one of the best things you can do is just help out someone else who you can tell needs a little help. Yeah. And you don't need to have that much more experience, like, in order to at least like make someone feel less alone.
Yeah. I mean, I remember meeting Janine for the first time, because I was like, she'd already had like a match or two under her belt, and I was like, okay, she knows what she's doing. And I was just kind of like, I really want to talk to her, but we were both like the shy puppies. We were both just kind of like, I was like, I'm a fan of yours. She's like, oh my God, really? She's like, nobody knows who I am. And I'm like, I do, and it's fine. And like, we just became friends that way because why not? Yeah, Mike, it totally is. It's that awkward freshman situation. And I don't think you ever really grow out of it. I don't ever think that there's like a moment in life where you're like, I'm fine. I'm not going to ever feel awkward again. Well, like, it's going to be okay.
And honestly, if you do manage to avoid those moments, like, that's an indication that you're not doing anything new.
Yeah.
And that's a sad thing. Like, I'm as much as awkward as it is to be the new kid, like, and, as much as there's potential for failure and embarrassment and humiliation, like, that doesn't mean you shouldn't like still try things. Like, I mean, in the, after times when it's safe to go out and do things.
I love that you keep referring to it as the after times.
Well, I mean, it was so funny how quickly we started for, like March and April. I think by April, people I know were just kind of casually referring to pre-pandemic times as the before times.
Yeah.
So I'm trying, but like, my parents have both gotten have both been vaccinated.
That's great.
I'm as a non-essential worker, under the age of 40, like I'm not getting jabbed anytime soon. But there's a chance we might be able to go see movies in July. Like that's what I'm thinking about right now. Like
if I can sit in a movie theater and watch Top Gun with people, I will be so excited. I might wet myself. I'm just saying.
Do you think it's going to be Top Gun? Like that's the really interesting question right now is everyone, like, because we're all looking at the release calendar and being like, who's really going to go for it? Who's going to try to be Tenet 2.0?
Yeah, I hope it's Top Gun, because like I remember sitting in Hall H for the very first showing of the trailer and just being like, oh my God, I can't wait for this. And then we had to wait a whole extra year. And I'm like, that's fine. As long as, like, that was one of those movies that I'm like, I have to see this on an IMAX screen with my friends. Like, I don't care how long I have to wait. Like, that has to be my first experience. And I know it's just going to be like, if it is the first movie out, it like whatever the first movie is that's going to be coming out is just going to be so incredibly intense that people, I swear, I'm probably just going to cry as I like drive up to a movie theater and just like sit in my car and be like, I'm so happy right now.
Yeah. God, what was I watching just recently? I think I was just watching Nomadland for the first time. And I watched it on, I have a pretty decently sized TV. I'm not going to lie. I'm very fancy. But I have a pretty decently sized TV. But it's and the movie was really beautiful. It really got me. But damn, it would have been better on the big screen. Like I'm like one of the second to last movie I saw before the shutdown was First Cow. And oh God, it's one of those things where I am so fucking grateful that I saw it in a theater, because there's no, like, a colleague of mine watched it just recently and he was like, I had to put my phone in another room, because First Cow is such a beautiful movie, but it is so quiet and it is so deliberately paced that in a theater it plays so wonderfully. You just lose yourself in it. Mm-hmm. But at home, like, it's a struggle, and similar to Nomadland. Like that was my experience with Nomadland. Was like I really enjoyed it and it really grabbed me. But it would have been 10 times the same experience if I had seen it in a theater.
Yeah, I feel like that experience is similar to the experience that I saw Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Oh gosh, yes, I think that was the third to last movie I saw in a theater.
I saw that. I got to see that at the apartment, and like Alex Marzoni, my roommate, like was constantly like, hey, I'm gonna watch this movie tonight, do you want to watch it with me? So we would show it in the living room, because we were living together, so why not? So we're sitting there, and I just remember at times like I was like, oh God, I wish I could be just surrounded by black and just have this in my vision, because it was so beautiful. And so like it is silent, basically. Like there's no score, there's no music. It's, if somebody's not talking, there's like the rustling of clothes, and that's it. But I would have loved to have seen it, like just have that all in my experience. That would have been amazing. I've been dying to see First Cow. For some reason I've been putting it off, but I really need to watch that. It's
so good. It's so delightful. There's a cow in it, and it's a great cow, top-notch cow. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, have you experimented at all with projectors? Like, I got a free projector as like part of a swag box, and I've been meaning to set it up properly, because like I have a spare room in my apartment that I could theoretically project against. I have if there's a blank wall, I could theoretically project against this wall and like just turn off all the lights and have a much more movie-like experience than like watching it on my TV. But I haven't gotten around to doing that yet. I don't know if anyone in the comments has tried that.
Yeah, I haven't experimented with those. Like I feel like I'm like, I know the advancement of technology is probably up there and could like actually like, you know, be a theater like experience. But I just haven't done it yet. Like we were going to in the old apartment, but we never really did. And then my walls are purple. So
I mean, it's just like that. You're just kind of, I mean, really, like, you know, that's what when Scorsese made his film, like makes his films, he really expects them to be projected against a purple wall. Like,
I mean,
that's what he color corrects for and everything.
He's like a massive Friends fan. Which was honestly one of my favorite lines of television ever was during that series finale where they're all like sitting around the apartment and Joey just kind of looks around and he goes, have the walls always been purple? It's just like the most perfect thing. Oh, guys, if you have any questions or comments you want to throw in, Streamlabs is right down below. Movie Fanobi sent in and said, hello, Rachel. Almost Friday. Woohoo! I'm on call this week till Tuesday morning, but hopefully it will stay quiet. A lot of driving today for field work, but beat the snow. Oh, thank God. Liz, love your Schmodown play. And Kitty, new hair color or just hatless? Kick ass. Love you guys. Thank you, Steve.
Well, thank you, sir. Or ma'am. Or person of non-specific gender.
Steve.
Yeah, no, this is I haven't done anything hair as color wise with my hair in a while. This is just what the top of my head looks like. Also, the lighting is different because Schmodown matches usually tape. Like you either get like the 12 p.m. Pacific time window or the 3 p.m. Pacific time window, which is to say I'm able to use daylight as opposed to multiple lights. Like I'm gonna actually
instead of mood lighting.
Yeah, exactly. Here's I knocked up my. I'm staring directly into a ring light right now, but so it's a little, but you see my face a little better now.
Yeah, mine's right behind the screen, so I'm like, it's like I try to look down instead of up.
The trials of show business.
I know this is the sacrifices we make for you guys. Well, so we all speak fondly about the movies that we have seen before the shutdown, but what movies have you discovered during the shutdown that you have found you are completely in love with, or you thought you would love, but were just a sad letdown?
I mean, it's tough. Like I mean, I was doing like I'm in a couple of critics groups and doing my like end of the year list was like, and doing the nominations was surprisingly hard. Like, in part because like, you know, I think in comparing in trying to figure out the movies this year that had the same impact on me, the same kind of impact on me that like my favorite movies of years past have, it just hasn't been the same. Like, because the theatrical experience is different, as we keep talking about. You know, it's funny, like Bill and Ted Face the Music really got me. Like that was probably one of the most fun viewing experiences I had. I went ahead and I splurged and I got the money. I purchased it off iTunes rather than like renting it. And I'm really glad I did because I've just had it now and I can just rewatch it whenever I like, which is nice. Last night, I've been trying to watch more movies that I haven't necessarily seen lately, just like as an experiment. And it turns out I've never seen Lethal Weapon. I know. Good movie, Lethal Weapon. Yeah. I watched it last night. I mean, I could tell you about Lethal Weapon. I know who directed it. I know who wrote it. I know who's in it. I even knew basic things like, you know, Mel Gibson's a crazy cop who's suicidal and Danny Glover's too old for this shit. And, you see Mel Gibson's butt at a certain point.
It's a good butt.
I mean, that's the thing. You can know that Mel Gibson shows his butt in that movie. You cannot actually know what it is to see his butt in that movie. And it is in fact a very good butt. Well, way to go, Mel Gibson. You were doing okay back then. Yeah, no, it was it's a weird movie. Like the plot twists that happen in the second half are like they take some pretty wild turns. There's a lot of like, really, that's the connection we're making here. That's gonna be a thing, but I mean, I kind of enjoyed that. It was just like, yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff in Lethal Weapon. I can see why it created so many careers, and for better or for worse. So
and lasted so long. I mean, there's 4 movies over what, like 15, almost 20 years.
Yeah, and I think there's always talk about doing another one, and there was also the TV show, Rest in Peace. I will say, Lethal Weapon also is a pretty, it's less than 2 hours, and it feels shorter, like, but not in a bad way, just like in a really cool, tight way. Like, it makes me want to reappreciate more thrillers from the 80s, because I think they all kind of fall into that category. Basically, what I'm saying is I'm tired of movies that are longer than 2 hours. Like, I've gotten cranky in my old age. Like,
yeah, I find that to be the same. Like, basically, if it's like less than 2 hours or like 3 hours plus.
Yeah.
Like, there's that weird like 2 hour in the middle thing that I'm kind of like,
2:20. Like, but
yeah,
no,
right?
I don't think I've ever seen a movie that was 2 hours and 20 minutes long that needed to be 2 hours and 20 minutes long. It could have been 2 hours.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm wildly exaggerating here, and I feel like you if I'm sure you could present me a list of movies that are 2 hours and 20 minutes and be like, yeah, that movie should be 2 hours and 20 minutes. How dare you cut anything out? But yeah. You know, it is funny, like the 3 hour movie though. Like, I do have really fond memories of watching Downfall, which is not a movie that is a movie remember fondly necessarily, but it is one of the few movies I've ever seen that's over 3 hours, and A, didn't feel like it, and B, was completely engrossing from top to bottom. Like, just like I couldn't look away.
Yeah. So I find that 3 hour movies are either like that or they're The Irishman, and I want to kill myself afterwards for having wasted so much time on it.
I had a real, I confess, the first time I watched The Irishman, it was at home, and I should have gone to it. I should have, like, they were screening it in theaters in LA. I should have gone to a theater, but I did have a really great nap. I like watched it on a Saturday afternoon. I kind of dozed off halfway through it. It was one of those great Saturday afternoon naps.
Yeah.
And then I woke up kind of for like the last 30 to 45 minutes. And actually that was, you know, I could argue that those were the most important minutes of the movie to watch. And
100%. I mean, I would rather watch the best movie of from every actor in that cast, like back to back to back to back to back, rather than watch The Irishman one more time.
So you have like a 36-hour movie marathon rather than
I would much rather do that. Yeah, I will rather do that than watch a 3 hour version of that movie, because it just felt like all of like their best movies were trying to like be jumbled into one, and I was like, no, I'll take them piece by piece. Like don't turducken this. You know, like, let me enjoy every bit of it. Like, I want to enjoy the turkey and the duck and the chicken, like, separately. Let me enjoy all of that, because you don't know how to cook, and it's awful at this point.
I see that. Gosh, man, about a year ago, I was freelancing, which is to say I was technically unemployed, but working a lot, just, you know, not at a steady job. Yeah. And my dad, who's retired, he and my mom now live in Los Angeles area, was like, hey, the Arrow in Santa Monica is screening Goodfellas at 1 p.m. this week. You want to go see it? And I was like, yeah. So we went and saw it. We had a like Tuesday matinee showing of Goodfellas at the Arrow, and it was just like the best thing. My one regret.
Those days.
What?
I missed those days.
So good. I mean, but like, you know, like you said, like, you know, seeing Goodfellas it is a wonderful reminder of just how good Scorsese is. Like, yeah. breaking news, Scorsese, good filmmaker. Yeah. Has a little game.
Yeah. Just not The Irishman. Please, dear God, don't make me watch that again. No, I love Scorsese films. Like, his early ones are a little heavy on the I am a man, don't question me spectrum. Lots of violence and all of that, like, can't question any man's like masculinity. But then like the center, I think like the center meat of his filmography is like my favorite part of it.
No, like where do you define that?
Post trying to think of where his movies fall in line, but basically anything like after like 1982 and before like, or after 82 and like before 2016.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's a good. That I mean, there's some amazing stuff in there. Like also like, or there's certainly films in there that like I feel like I definitely liked when I watched them the first time, and should really go back. Like I remember liking Gangs of New York a lot, but I also remember kind of coming out of it being like, I've seen this once. I maybe don't need to see it again for another 20 years.
Yeah. But then you go back and relish in the genius that is Daniel Day-Lewis and Gleason and DiCaprio. I mean, we could live without Cameron Diaz. Like that was
She was trying.
She was, but she was trying. Oh, girl.
That being said, I fall into the camp of not this is a slight tangent, but I miss Cameron Diaz and I want her back. Like
I do too.
I know. I mean, she was really, really fun, and she is really fun, and she's been really good in a lot of stuff. Like one of those like movies I will stop everything to watch like at any time I see it is In Her Shoes.
It's so good.
Yes.
Oh, her and Toni Collette make me so happy. I mean, I wish. Yeah. Did you read the book?
I didn't. It's a Jennifer Weiner I haven't read.
So Toni Collette's character is actually supposed to be like a little bit of a bigger girl. And I was like, okay, like Toni Collette, like I know in film, like the big girl is always like a size 6. And I'm like, that's cute. Her thighs still don't touch. But like, it was like, that was like the only little like caveat I had about that movie was I was like, she's supposed to be a bigger girl and like, find empowerment through the fact that she creates her own company and like walks dogs and like feels better about herself and da da da. But I was like, but Toni Collette can do no wrong in my eyes.
Oh God. I mean, I feel like there is a sadness to the fact that Toni Collette is a wonderful, beautiful human being. And, but like so much of her career has been defined by playing, I'm going to use this terrible term and I hate myself for it, but like Hollywood fat. Mm-hmm. Like Muriel's Wedding is such a great film and it is such a great performance by her, but so much of it is like driven by how she looks and and her appearance and which is like the worst thing about it.
Yeah, well, Peggy, I completely agree. Shirley MacLaine in anything is amazing, but she is especially great in Her Shoes. Mike Kay, yeah, I love her in The Holiday. First of all, The Holiday is just a perfect movie in my opinion. Everybody is cast so beautifully and it's so lovely. And I just want to marry Jack Black in that movie. Like for real. When I moved back to LA, I'm like, I'm meeting my Jack Black. And that didn't happen. She does get like the sad, like bigger, like her and Kate Winslet are always supposed to be like a little bit like on a bigger girl size. Like they're never like, they're like beautiful for her size. Like they're this weird definition of beautiful in LA. And I'm like, no, they're just stunning Amazons. Like why the subtext? Why the asterisk? Like there's no reason.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the Holiday for the first time just recently. And I remember, I think I had like a couple of issues with it, but I did really enjoy it. Honestly, I think that it was really fascinating to see Jack Black play like just pretty much a straight up romantic comedy lead, which is something he does really well. Yeah. And now there's another actor just recently where I was like, this guy is just a really good romantic comedy lead, and which is not an easy thing to pull off, especially to be interesting in that position. Because you can be, there's so many nice looking men who have been cast in those sorts of roles and just don't spark for whatever reason. Not just like with whoever they're acting with, but just like they just don't spark in general. Weirdly, Matthew McConaughey like had a couple of like. I feel like he did a couple of romantic comedies where it was just like theoretically he's charming enough, but it was pre McConaissance, and I guess he just hadn't really tapped into his essence yet.
Yeah, it was really weird watching him go, because I think that he had great chemistry with Kate in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, but had no chemistry with Sarah Jessica Parker in Failure to Launch.
Yeah.
Like, he had more chemistry with the actors that played his parents than he did with her, and I was like, I don't buy this at all.
Yeah.
Like, no. But Bradley Cooper, thank God he dug himself out of that hole that he was in, playing like the bad guy and the jerk. Oh, thank God he got out of that. Failure to Launch was, yeah. Failure to Launch was sad.
Yeah, I mean, well, it is funny, like, because I think we get nostalgic these days for the rom-com, and it was just, yeah, gosh. I mean, and we get nostalgic because they don't really make rom-coms anymore, at least on the scale they used to. Yet, so now we're nostalgic for them, but there was that run where it was like they were making a lot of rom-coms and not a lot of them were great. And yeah, gosh, what was I was thinking, I was just remembering that I need to see if The Proposal is streaming anywhere, because I kind of want to rewatch that.
It's so good. Well, first of all, how do you not love a movie where Betty White plays a grandmother of Ryan Reynolds? Like, first of all, I love Ryan Reynolds and wanted to marry him since Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. And then you throw in the fact that, like, his grandmother is Betty White and his mother is Mary Steenburgen. Like, yes, please. Like, that is a perfect Canadian family right there. It's just so adorable.
Mary Steenburgen is, every time she shows up in something, I'm like, how did you get her? She should be more busy.
Right?
Or she should be, I mean, she's just, whenever she shows up, it's such a delight.
She is phenomenal in Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, if you haven't watched it. She plays Zoe's mom, and she is, oh gosh, she's heartbreaking and beautiful in it.
Oh, yeah. The pilot, I need to watch the rest of that show because the pilot wrecked me. I really love the pilot.
Well, if the pilot wrecked you, prepare yourself for the rest of season 1, because it is, like, I think I went through like 9 Kleenex boxes in just the first season. Yeah, it was an emotional wreck. Well, I also had a personal tie to it. But the season 2 is starting to be like, season 2 has already dealt with like race in the tech world, and like speaking up for, like, it is they are dealing with some really heavy issues right now, and they're handling it so beautifully and with such care, but like not with baby gloves, like they're not kid gloving this, like they're really addressing these issues, but in a way that is palatable for people to be like, oh my God, I understand what they're trying to do. I understand like how I need to change because this is going on in my workplace. It's fantastic.
That's really cool.
Yeah, we did get another Streamlabs from Mike K. Hi, Mike K. Since I know it's bound to come up eventually, what did you guys think of the Mortal Kombat trailer? I've had it on replay basically all afternoon. April cannot come soon enough. That movie is coming out on my birthday. I'm so happy. I mean, it's my 37th birthday, so I was planning on obviously having a Kevin Smith birthday party. But we will be taking a slight reprise and doing an HBO watch along party for that. And I literally got goosebumps watching that trailer because it literally just took me right back to my childhood. And like, as soon as you hear, get over here, I like instantly went right, like I transported back to my childhood arcade.
Oh, wow.
And like, I was like, wow, that's powerful. I'm super stoked. I'm really excited. I don't know about you, but I'm very excited.
Well, I have a couple of confessions. One is that I am a Street Fighter loyalist. I am very, very good at playing Chun-Li in Street Fighter. I have beaten the game and in playing Chun-Li in Street Fighter. It's one of the very few video games I've ever actually beaten. And so yeah, I wish so not that I'm going to hold up the Street Fighter movie as anything to celebrate. But I did like the trailer, and I appreciated just like how it really showcased all the action that's going to be in the movie. But the honest truth of the matter is I watched that entire trailer waiting for the Immortals theme to kick in, and it didn't kick in, and I am bummed. And to the point where like I'm trying to get back into jogging, which is going terribly. It's an awful thing. No one should ever do it. I'm in physical pain, and I'm like limping, like I'm basically like chugging along for half a block and then speed walking. And then like I should try running for another whole half a block. It's awful. But I do enjoy the fact that I get to listen to music while I do it. And so this afternoon I was like, I have to do it. I have to listen to every possible like Mortal Kombat theme remix and club remix I can on Spotify. So that was what I did this afternoon, was listen to. So I'm sure like I looked like really cool, like going like,
yeah,
while I was running. And by running, I mean speed walking.
Did you have that song played at your high school dances too? Because I did.
Oh God, that probably happened at least once. That would, I mean, it certainly I would have danced like an idiot, very happy idiot if it had. Because I am a big believer in dance like no one's watching. Mostly because they aren't. Everyone's busy. Everyone's busy dancing for enjoying their own dancing. That's the way I like to look at it.
Yeah. Well, I went to high school during the whole like rave phase. I graduated in 2002, so like it was like, you know, everybody had like their glow sticks on strings and like in their hands, and it was a lot. Like getting a song played, like an actual song played at a high school dance of mine was like pulling teeth. It was very hard. It was a lot of I was not happy. I mean, every dance I've ever been to has always played Love Shack, so that's like a staple. But like I don't think I went to a high school or junior high dance for that matter without hearing Mortal Kombat. Like I swear.
I actually a friend of mine was talking about how he went and saw the 1995 movie in high school, and apparently like just as it started, the friend he was with stood up and shouted Mortal Kombat right at the beginning, and the entire audience like lost it. And I'm just like, I'm so jealous. Like that sound like the perfect movie going experience. Just to have someone shout from the crowd, Mortal Kombat. This is what the theatrical experience is about.
100%. Like there have been some of my favorite moments have been both like in a packed house, like on opening night to go see Endgame and like feeling that energy. But also like one of my other favorite ones was I think it was like a midnight showing opening night of Magic Mike XXL in Boston with all of the females that were on tour with Newsies with me. And the girlsies, we called ourselves the girlsies. The girlsies walked literally from the theater a block and a half to the movie theater at like after the show. It was us and like two guys and their girl and a girl with them. And then like a group of like 4 older women like sitting behind us. And that's it. There was like maybe 20 people in the theater. You've seen the movie, right?
Of course.
So everybody does. It's a very like... It's about movie about strippers. So the movie starts off.
One of the movies ever made.
Yeah, it's so good. Honestly, it's that movie is how I judge how bad my depression is, because if I don't laugh when Joe Magliano does the striptease in the gas station for the girl, like if I don't smile, I need to call somebody.
Yeah.
Like
that's a solid metric. Like that's a good measuring stick.
Right? But the movie starts out and it's just Channing Tatum like sitting on a bench on a beach, and there's like all these artsy shots of him and he's looking down at the ring and da-da-da. And then there's like this massive like long shot and he's like sitting off on the distance and you just see that there's nobody on the beach with him. And I was like, take off your pants. And the theater just busted up laughing because we were just like, this is so like, no, like I'm not here for this. Like, don't be mopey. Dance, monkey, dance.
Oh God. My favorite, there have been a couple of those like that. I think one of my all-time favorites was the second time I saw The Last Jedi in theaters. It was like, it was like, I think like the weekend after, and it was a pretty casual crowd. It was a full audience, a full theater. And in like sitting like a row or so behind me was a dad with like his 10-year-old kid.
Oh.
So like old enough to be able to like say, forming like, coherent sentences and so forth, but young enough to not know he shouldn't say them. Hey, you want to say that? Young enough to know he shouldn't.
Steve was just asking where she is.
Yes, she's kind of she's chilled out a little bit. She was running around a little bit like a crazy person, but now I think she's gonna hang out here for a while.
Nice.
So this 10-year-old kid was pretty chatty during the movie, which is kind of one of my pet peeves, to be fair. But like I wasn't getting aggressive with shushing him. However, this other guy was, and he was just like, dude, control your kid, that sort of thing. It got a little testy.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of annoying. And then and this is not I really enjoyed The Last Jedi. This is not an anti-Last Jedi story, really. But when we got to the scene where Kylo Ren is shirtless but wearing the really high-waisted pants, which is a look. It's a look. It works for some people. It did not work for this 10-year-old kid, and he just immediately shouted, "Ew!" And the entire audience lost it. It was amazing. And I mean, no insult meant to Adam Driver. You're a fine-looking man, and you made those pants work for a lot of people, not for that 10-year-old kid.
That kid's my hero.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love going and watching movies with kids, but I do believe that like if they're young, like I went to go see one of the MCU movies opening night in Baltimore when I was on tour, and this guy who's like 8-year-old son who apparently had not seen any of the other movies like started asking him all these questions.
Oh,
and I'm like,
no.
"This is my day off. Can you like not?" So I had to get them kicked out. But but I did go and see, like, it was like the 30-year anniversary or the 25-year anniversary of excuse me, of Jurassic Park. And I was so excited. Like, this movie's 25 years old. Everybody in the theater has seen it before, except for these two little boys that were sitting right next to me. And I swear to God, one of them was actually Tim. Like, he was so excited. He was standing up in his seat, like talking to the screen, telling his mom about the dinosaurs. This kid, I was living for this kid. I have not seen excitement like this in so long. I was so excited. The guy sitting in front of him, like the kid wasn't touching the seat. He wasn't kicking it. He was just standing behind it. Like not even like right behind it, just in the aisleway. And this guy kept turning around and like shushing him and like talking to the mom. And I was like, no. Like I saw her after the movie because she kept like having to take her sons out. She's just like apologizing. And I'm like, no. Your sons were enjoying themselves. That's what your sons are why that movie got made. It's not for, and literally it was perfect timing. The guy who was complaining walked out of the theater. I was like, this movie wasn't made for that guy. This movie was made for your sons. Right. And they were enjoying it. So there's nothing to apologize for. But like, I was just like, I'm literally watching this movie with Tim. And he like sat down right next to me and he was like, that's a brontosaurus. I'm like, I know.
I mean, I think there is a line. Like, I definitely, and I think, I mean, honestly, sometimes it's even just a matter of mood. Like, I've been in situations where, not usually with kids, and I think it's just because, I end up seeing movies at times where you don't see a lot of kids.
Yeah.
But like, maybe not necessarily with kids, but even just with like adults who just don't know how to fucking watch a movie. Like I can get, there are times when I'm totally chill about it. And there are times when I don't want to say I've been a real asshole because they're the assholes, but I have been firm about how, hey, maybe you should shut the hell up and get off your phone.
Oh no, I throw popcorn at that.
The phones are actually what drive me crazy because you can't not see the white triangle right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like there have been times when I've for work I went and saw Marvel's Inhumans in IMAX. But I went in. I bought a ticket for I bought a ticket for a 3 p.m. Tuesday showing. And I was one of 3 people in the theater at the IMAX theater, which is always an interesting experience. And you know what I did? I went to the back row because I wanted to fuck around on my phone and text people while watching this terrible, terrible movie / TV show. And that's what you do. Like if you're going to be on your phone, on a device, or if you're going to be an asshole for whatever reason, you do so out of the range of people.
Yeah, I find that adults, mainly the older they are, the more, especially I had to yell at some elderly Floridian women once because they were literally treating it like it was their living room, and they were just like not even whispering, and I was like, I watch movies basically for a living at this point. Like, please stop. Like, I'm trying to pay attention. And it got to the point where I had to get them kicked out. It was great. I have no problem kicking people. I have no problem speaking up or throwing popcorn at people. I don't care. Yeah.
But it's tough though, because like if you have like this hard line, then you don't have like great moments like that kid during Last Jedi, or that internet meme moment where I don't know if you've seen it was big on Tumblr, but it's like a middle-aged couple goes to see Carol, and like 3/4 of the way through, the woman leans over to her husband and says, "Harold, they're lesbians," which is the perfect review of Carol.
That's so great. That's so perfect.
Harold, they're lesbians. It says all you need to know.
I mean, it's a beautiful movie, but
Harold, they're lesbians. There's also the one where it's like the person going to see Chappie, and then Chappie shows up and someone leans over. It's like, that's Chappie.
That's perfect. I love that. Now, we had talked about music a little bit before, but let's dive into that a little bit more, because on your Twitter profile, you're a self-proclaimed old school funk fan.
Yes.
Now, have you gotten to go see a lot of funk concerts?
No, I honestly, the one of my worst qualities, I think, honestly, is that I've never been a huge fan of live music. Like, I've had good experiences seeing live music. I've had good experiences with concerts. But I've never, it's like something about, I don't really have the patience for it. So there was like this one club in Los Angeles that was a dance club that used to play old school funk, that I loved. But like in general, I just kind of really enjoyed like discovering, like on my own, just like through Spotify, through albums going back years, like Motown and 70s funk and all that. Like, I mean, really just kind of segueing over into disco. Like, I am not afraid of disco at all. Like, disco's great.
Disco's so much fun.
Yes. I mean, really, like one of the greatest shows I think Netflix has ever made is The Get Down, which was Baz Luhrmann's incredibly expensive folly of a show, at least in Netflix eyes. But it taught you everything you need to know about the birth of hip hop, and how it ties into R&B. And I at a press event, I believe it was Grandmaster Flash did a demonstration where he explained basically how samples work and what goes into taking a beat from one song and turning it into the foundation of a whole other song. And it was one of the coolest things. Like, he just had 2 turntables and a microphone, baby. So the Get Down soundtrack is incredible. If you're looking, the Get Down in general is just incredible. But great cast too. It's like Justice Smith is the lead, and he's just so compelling on every level. And like Jimmy Smits and Giancarlo Esposito and lots of other great actors are packed in here. It's Shamik Moore, one of his first early roles, is in there. And there are a couple of other really, I think Yala Abdul Mateen III, I think, also has a pretty significant role in that as well. It's a great show. And God, what? And I'm blanking on it. Never mind. Anyways, great show. Highly recommend.
Yeah, I when you said Baz Luhrmann, I was like, oh my god, that is his show.
I mean, it is.
It's so shocking, but it makes so much sense when you hear that. Like,
I mean, there's like it's really like going back to Netflix. Netflix's early years, like it was so they were really auteur driven in a lot of respects. It's I think honestly one of the factors that let their early shows take off in the way they did is that, unlike other platforms, you knew what you were getting with the David Fincher political drama. You knew what you were getting with Arrested Development. You knew what you were getting with Hemlock Grove because it was Eli Roth. Like, if you like Eli Roth, you're probably going to like Hemlock Grove. If you do not like Eli Roth, you are not going to probably like Hemlock Grove, which is why I've never watched Hemlock Grove. But, there you go.
It's so funny that you don't like Eli, but yet you're such a big X-Files fan.
I feel like the X-Files always went for horror in a way that didn't lose the humanity of its characters. And I would argue that from the things I've seen Eli Roth do kind of don't lean that way. I'm also just a big old scaredy cat. I'm not a huge horror person in general. Like, for me, the X-Files was more about the conspiracies and the mystery and the thriller aspects, and also, just the whole kit and caboodle when it comes to the casting.
Yeah.
I think I think it's very hard to name a show that had two better leads. Like, in terms of how they were cast, how they worked together, and how that created the sort of longevity. Like, that's a kind of magic that is really hard to replicate.
Yeah, I think the only other show that I can think of with those guidelines in mind is literally Supernatural. Like, it was around, they just finished their 15th season. The guys have been together for all of those years. Like, they're so close. They live within a mile of each other in Austin. Like, their kids are growing up together. And the show lasted so long and was like, it wasn't as highly acclaimed, I guess. Like, for, not fans, but what are they called?
Critics,
thank you, because my brain just went nope. It wasn't as highly critically acclaimed as X-Files was. I mean, X-Files was on Fox and it was like a big thing, and Supernatural started on the WB and then went over to the CW. So, but I mean, it very much has the same type of feel for it. It's just a little more tongue in cheek, I think.
Yeah.
There were some episodes of the X-Files that fucked me up as a kid.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my god.
What was the X-Files episode that fucked you up?
The one with the vampire where they kept him in a cell and they were interviewing him. They were just convinced that this guy just thought that he was a vampire, and they had like a very small window and they let the sunlight in on him. Like, I just remember that very vividly as a child.
I'm trying. There are two vampire episodes, and I'm trying to think of which one you mean, because interesting.
Yeah, they caught one and put him in a cell, and they were trying to get information out of him, and they were like, "Oh, this guy is just like thinks that he's like a vampire. He just has like sun sensitivity," and then he like burst into flame. Screwed me up. There was a lot of like, I just remember feeling very uneasy every time I watched that show.
I mean, when my parent, I didn't start watching it until the third season on my own. Before then, my parents watched it. And I remember, like, I would run into the living room when they started watching it just to hear the theme song, because just the theme song would freak me out. And then I'd be like, I'm good, I'm done, I'm covered. I've experienced all I need to experience from the X-Files this week. I've gotten my thrills and my chills.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm a scaredy cat. I don't like. I think I've progressed a little bit because I forced myself to watch so many horror movies for the horror free-for-all study.
Oh.
That now it's just kind of honed itself down to be like, I don't like horror movies with children in them because children are scary, especially when you link them with demons.
That is a thing. I wish I liked horror more, because I feel like there's so many interesting aspects to the genre, and I think it is such a good vehicle for storytelling. Um, but yeah, jump scares really do me in. There's something I just watched. Oh, I just watched The Invisible Man. I'd heard it was really good.
Do you like
And
it?
I did. I thought it was. I think I really. I think. I think I really just enjoyed. I enjoyed the intellectual exercise of it. Like, just like, rather than do what other versions of the story have done, which is like kind of really focus in on what it does to a guy to be invisible. Like, instead of doing that, just jump ahead. And then also just kind of, I thought it was really well done in a lot of respects. And all the effects were amazing. Like, after watching, like, I think I watched it because the Oscars VFX shortlist came out, and it wasn't on it. And people were saying, like, how dare you put Tenet on this list when the Invisible Man had way better effects in it. I don't know if that was actually people were poking specifically at Tenet for that, but the point is that it inspired me to watch The Invisible Man, and I liked it.
Yeah, it's really good. That was a Leigh Whannell film, right?
Yeah, Leigh Whannell.
Yeah, he does such great work. Like, honestly, if you like that, I would go back and watch his other horror movies because they're just stunning.
Like, what should be my next one?
I would say start the Annabelle and Conjuring series.
Okay.
Like, it's done really well. There's not a lot of like gore to it. It's a lot of suspense and like psychological thriller type for it.
And that's Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, right?
Yes.
Yeah, those are actors I deeply enjoy. So
yeah,
that's another.
And you get to hear Patrick Wilson sing again, which is fucking lovely. Yeah, like in the middle of it, like he's trying to calm down the kids or something, and they're like sitting in the house, and he just busts out a guitar, and starts singing "Fools Rush In." And I'm like, why are you doing this to my uterus right now? He's so wonderful.
Yeah, gosh, I'm not the type to speak well of Zack Snyder's Watchmen. I don't hate it. I think there are qualities to it that are really good. But I will say, and one of the things I will say is that Patrick Wilson was perfectly cast, and I love him deeply in that movie. I thought he was great.
He's such a good actor that it took me probably 15 years to get over his performance in Hard Candy.
Oh God, that movie's so good.
That movie fucked me up to the point where I love Phantom of the Opera. And even like it was hard for me to watch that movie and not be like, don't pick him. It was brutal. I mean, I've always been like more of a Phantom person. Like even when I was little, listening to the cast recording, I was like, why does she pick Raoul? But that says a lot more about me than it does her. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, no, it took me a long time to watch Patrick Wilson without immediately being like, kill him. Like somebody needs to kill him. This guy is an asshole and just a horrible, horrible human being. So like that, to get that visceral of a reaction out of me, I'm like, that's some really good acting. He's just so good.
Yeah.
But then you hear him sing and you're like, okay, I forgive you. Like it's just, like I just had to keep telling myself, it's just a role. It's just a role.
In Fargo season 2, he plays like the best dad, and it's so nice. It's like speaking of your uterus and things happening to it, like he's the best dad.
Guys that play good dads, it's just great. We're talking about Patrick Wilson right now.
Yeah,
and our deep love for him.
Yeah, I've been looking at the comments. Like there have been some questions.
There.
Yeah.
Oh, Liz, have you seen the '89 Julia and Flatliners? Of course.
I have not actually.
You have not seen Flatliners? Highly recommend. That is a really good one.
I think that's honestly that's it. Is the '89 one Cronenberg or?
Yes. I want to say it is.
It feels wrong, but it could be right. Yeah. Okay. Well, somebody should look up who directed Flatliners.
Yeah, guys, throw that in
But
the chat.
I should see that. Honestly, the thing with Flatliners is that premise kind of freaks me out. Like that's just because it feels similar to like something I feel like something I must have read in high school that had like a similar idea of like kind of playing with that sort of like playing with the concept of death, like, and what is there beyond? And I think it's not like I haven't gotten around. It's not like I haven't gotten around to it. I think I'm genuinely freaked out by it. But I mean, I thought I would be freaked out by The Invisible Man, and then I watched it like 4 p.m. on a weekend rather, and it went okay. I didn't have any nightmares or anything, so I could maybe try out Flatliners. I could be brave.
I highly recommend it. Yeah, I went and saw The Invisible Man with the perfect crowd. There was not a lot of people, but I sat next to 2 girls who were like a few seats away from me, and they were like the Josh McCouga, like screaming, reacting before anything happened, like in anticipation. It was the best. I was like, you girls are my favorite. Like, it was just such a perfect experience.
Yeah,
like,
I had an ex.
Like a second before like something happened, and then it like we would all be laughing and like not get scared. It was funny. Oh, Joel Schumacher.
Oh yeah, that's right. Thank you, movie Fanobi. You're our only hope.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Joel Schumacher that guy has a weird resume.
Yeah, because he also did Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah. He did Phantom of the Opera. He did those Batman movies.
Yeah.
He did like what was it called? Was it called Flawless?
Oh, the one with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Robert De Niro. That movie is untalked about unjustly. And it is
I've never seen it. I just remember hearing it was weird.
It's so beautiful. So Robert De Niro plays a stroke, somebody who has gone through a stroke and is kind of having to relearn how to speak, but he's like incredibly homophobic. And Philip Seymour Hoffman plays a drag queen in his apartment building who gives voice lessons. So they end up teaming together and like he helps him, and then there's some crime element.
They do
like Philip Seymour Hoffman's boyfriend is like beating him up or something, and like Robert De Niro comes to his aid, and it's very sweet. Like it's a good movie. I love that movie.
Gosh, I rewatched Almost Famous recently, and God, Philip Seymour Hoffman's so good in that.
That is my favorite role of his. That is one of my favorite movies of all time. Actually, that my last question is derived from that movie. Honestly, it's everything. I remember watching that and being like, that's what I want my life to be. And then it was. And then I was like, can I check out of this life real quick? I would like to sleep in my own bed for more than 30 days out of the year.
I hear good things.
It's great. But yeah, okay, so you love funk. What else? What other genres of music do you find yourself listening to that get you grooving?
It's not even really a secret fondness. The thing with me in music is, which speaks to how I find it. I am not a huge live music fan, because you have to, live music is like, the idea is you just go to a place and all you do is listen to music. And for me, and I think this speaks to the fact that I grew up, so much of my music background is based in watching movies and TV shows. And a lot of my major music memories are associated not with just hearing the song, but hearing the song accompanying some great cinematic moment. Which is, so one interesting side effect of this, for example, is I never really discovered the Beatles until like alarmingly late in life. Like, and my parents were huge Beatles fans, but they never really played them for us. And because due to music rights, the Beatles don't get used a lot in movies and TV shows, even now, but especially for like the 80s and 90s. Yeah. Like, you had to fucking murder somebody to get a Beatles song in your movie. And so I never heard them I never heard the Beatles in movies. Ergo, I never really listened to the Beatles. And it was only like basically with the advent of Beatles rock band that I discovered the Beatles. And now, I mean, you listen to the Beatles at any age and you discover, you're like, holy shit, this is one of the, there's a reason why they're one of the greatest bands of all time. Like that wasn't a fluke. That wasn't just like they kind of stumbled across it. But yeah, anyway, so because of that, I tend to, I tend to listen. I don't listen to a ton of like movie soundtracks, like score. It's but I do find that I listen to a lot of songs that I learn about from a movie or a TV show, and like that they have that association for me. The advent of the site tunefind.com has been a lifesaver because TuneFind indexes and catalogs. So it's a database that catalogs songs by what movies and TV shows are used in. So like if you're ever like, how many different movies and TV shows have used the Rolling Stones' Sympathy for the Devil? You can go to them and go to tunefind.com and you will be able to get the answer to your question. It's very, very useful. And also the other thing is because I like to, music is usually accompanying something for me. The big thing that happens for me is that I tend to, especially if I'm writing something and it's not going well and I'm struggling to focus, I will listen to songs on repeat for like hours to embarrassingly. Let me see. I'm not necessarily ashamed, but I'll pull up my old iTunes and I will sort it by the number of times I have played some songs. And I will go to the very top of the list and let's see what's up there. Let's see. Okay, there's this will be a good indication as well as to what kind of music I listen to why I do this. The top artists are Groove Armada, History, Madonna's How High, Tromeo's Fancy Footwork, Timbaland's The Way I Are, 303's Don't Trust Me, Franz Ferdinand's Know You Girls, and Britney Spears' Gimme More featuring T.I. remix. So
okay,
that is
the fact that you have 303 in that mix makes me incredibly happy because I was on tour with them on Warped Tour the summer that they went big. Like they literally started the tour off on a side stage and ended up on the main stage not even halfway through the tour. Nat and Sean are good friends of mine. I see them every time I go to Denver. They're the sweetest guys. I beat them in a dance-off. Just
nice.
But they're like, Don't Trust is like one of my favorite songs. Like they're just ridiculous. I love the juxtaposition that they are two white guys from Boulder, Colorado, who went to Boulder University, who graduated with like a 5.0 GPA. Like these are incredibly smart dudes. And then they're like, let's put a band together and write ridiculous lyrics and see what happens.
She wants to trust me, woo. She wants to love me, woo.
She wants to. Don't trust her. Oh,
don't trust a girl.
I
haven't actually listened to that song in a while because I stopped using my iTunes so much, and I started using my Spotify all the time. So,
yeah, but every now and then you just got to go back to that iTunes and just kind of play those things and hear them again.
God, yeah, I have literal days of music still stored in my iTunes, like in proper MP3s, no iCloud bullshit.
Yep.
And every once in a while, I just put it on random just to like remember what my music taste was for a good solid decade of my life. Can I pull a movie Fanobi? It has asked about a more intimate live show.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And I wanted to make sure I answered this because I have a really good answer for it. One of the best acts I've ever seen live was Jill Sabule, who a friend of mine was like, you got to see Jill Sabule. She's the best. Jill Sabule was really big in the 90s. She did she did the much less homophobic version of a song called I Kissed a Girl. and she's just a beautiful folk singer. She's kind of folky. She's like had a really interesting career. Like she spent a good few years writing all the original songs for a Nickelodeon show that I'm blanking on the name of. Maybe Kid Victorious. That sounds right.
Victorious. Yeah.
Well, there's maybe I don't know if it was Victorious because I know that was a Nickelodeon show, but I think this is a different one maybe. Anyways, Jill Sabule, saw her at Largo, which is such a cliche, I know, but
I missed that venue.
It was just like it was like a very small, intimate show, and it was so sweet and so personal. And she did such great crowd work. So that was one of the best concerts of my life. And then also, I also saw conversely, I saw Adele at the Staples Center randomly. It was actually technically for work because I was writing about her live concert that the live concert that NBC broadcast, and they were like, "Well, you should go see her do this show, see what it's like live, and see how it compares to the NBC show." And I was like, "Okay, sure, yes, I will take your ticket to this show." And
free tickets to Adele. Ow, no, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it was wonderful because Adele the whole time was like, she would, sing an incredible, heartbreaking ballad, and she'd be like, "Hello, it's such a tragedy. I can't eat pizza, you guys. I'm on tour in America. I can't eat pizza." That is my Adele impression. But I will never forget it. It was wonderful. But it was a thing where I was like, we are in the Staples Center. This is a stadium show. Yeah. And so there were all these, it was like, incredible like staging of these huge numbers. And, she's got her huge voice behind them. But then as soon as in between the songs, it felt as intimate as seeing Jill Sabule at Largo. Like it was that same level of experience.
Yeah, I miss those shows. Like there's some of my favorite shows like are equally like half of them are the big like blockbuster like in a massive stadium with like thousands and thousands of people, and then like the other half are like these very intimate shows at like Hotel Cafe or Largo where it's like literally like maybe a few hundred people.
Yeah,
maybe 1,000 if that at Largo. Somebody who I think that because you like her, I think that you would enjoy Butch Walker. I apparently have become his pimp. I love him so much. If I could literally listen to one artist for the rest of my life, it would be him. He is an incredible singer-songwriter, a performer. Like he can take songs. He does a cover of Live and Let Die that is, in my opinion, better than the original, and that's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot.
Yeah, but it's
previously established. That Paul McCartney, he knows a little bit about making music.
Yeah, just a little bit. But yeah, it's amazing. It's so good. I do miss live shows, and yes, I agree, Steve. Ray LaMontagne and Damien Rice are fucking amazing live. I've seen both of them at the Hotel Cafe with like 150 other people.
I've enjoyed Damien Rice quite a bit in terms of like I have some playlists that's just like chill town or whatever, and it's just nice chill music for when you're going to bed or you're taking a bath or something.
Yeah,
Damien
I have
Rice is wonderful.
Yeah, I have those two artists with what was it Joshua Radin and Tony Luca, and these are all like and Carey Brothers. These are all like from the same few years that I was working at the like going to shows at the Hotel Cafe. Like these guys are all still performing together when the world shut down in the before days, as you put it. Yeah, I'm super excited. Yeah, no, dude, pimping ain't easy. It's fine. I'll pimp out Butch as much as I can because he's lovely and wonderful.
I will look him up.
He's great. It's funny. My mom watches the show and she'll like have a list of things that she like will look up afterwards, and she'll like call me or something like before I move back home, and she will be like, what was that movie you guys were talking about? I want to look it up. And I'm like, it's on Netflix. I already saved it to your account. It's fine. What was something that you did during this downtime that you either discovered that you never knew about yourself, or that you rediscovered something that you absolutely love and you were like, why did I stop doing this?
That's a good question. Because I feel like I feel like, I think we all go through like phases, and we've all been going through phases like where we feel like, oh, I'm going to really be productive and, try to really take life on. And then it's like, oh no, but now it's time for me to just lay in my bed all day.
I was going to say, but my bed is so comfortable.
Yeah. I will say, a lot of, it's like, I think and there's a lot of things that I'm trying to get back into. Like I mentioned, I'm trying to start running again, which is something I used to do a lot, and stopped for, basically just because I was working all the time, and it's really hard to get back into it once you stop. But I've been giving it a shot. Reading. I think I haven't been reading as much as I would like, but I have, especially this summer, I got a lot better about essentially what happened was my apartment does not handle the heat well. It gets balls hot. So finally last spring, I basically asked for a birthday present for my parents for the first time in a little while. And that birthday present was a freestanding air conditioner. So I got really into over the summer, like basically, 4 o'clock would hit, and I'd be like, I'm clocking out of work because I'd been on since like 7 or 8, and I would clock out, and then I would turn on the air conditioner and point it at my bed, and I would lay down on the bed and read. And I started reading books again, and it helped that I kind of like, I was just like, I wasn't like trying to read the great works of literature. I started just kind of like reading a lot, just really reading for pleasure, and reading like stuff that felt like it would be fun versus stuff I felt like I should be reading. And so I would lay on my bed and I would read, and Tank Girl would hear the air conditioner turn on, and she would run in and start and lay beside me, and we'd have a nice little cuddle. And that was, I think like reappreciating stuff like that. The things, it's not so much like discovering new things as much as it has been reconnecting with things that were at one point a huge part of my life, and things I felt really passionately about. And, as you get older, sometimes these things fall by the wayside, and that's stupid. Yeah. And, if something used to make you really happy, there's no reason it can't make you happy again.
It's true. What kind of books have you been reading that you've really enjoyed?
I went through a really big romance novel phase, and
yay, smut.
Yeah, I mean, and it was actually really helpful. Not really helpful, but I am team romance novel. My mom is a romance novelist. I really
wait. You're burying the lead. Your mom is a romance novelist?
My mom has written a large number of novels. Yeah. She works largely in the small press realm. She really likes, she's a big paranormal fan. Like she does so my mom writes romance novels. Name? No, she writes under her name, Janet Miller. So yeah, she hasn't been published by any of the huge publishers, but she doesn't, and she doesn't write a lot right now. But she still feels, she still does a lot of that. I'm not a huge paranormal romance fan for whatever reason. I really do. And I read a lot. I read some contemporary romance. I read some Regency romance, which actually was really funny because one thing that came up when I was reading Regency romance was I was just like, why are all the dudes dukes? Why is like all the heroes of Regency romance novels, it seemed to me, were dukes. And it was really, and to the point where when the show Bridgerton came out, I had the opportunity to do some interviews with with some of the cast and the showrunner, and I just basically asked the showrunner, "Hey, what's up with Dukes in Regency romance?" And he had a really good answer. It was actually really interesting. The thing with Dukes is that in Regency England, it was a status level that was high enough to be like really desirable, and be like that guy's gonna be loaded. He's gonna be everything a girl would want, but it's not so high that you get caught up in like the royal politics stuff. Like,
Right.
And so a duke doesn't have to deal with like bullshit that is detrimental to the whole point of the story, which is two people falling in love. But yeah, I got into those. I've been trying to rediscover my love of Terry Pratchett as well. Terry Pratchett, the Discworld novels, are really wonderful. I've not read nearly enough of them, but they're always really funny and they're always really smart. And the world that he created is so interesting and well drawn. If you're looking at if you're looking for a good because we're all movie nerds here, a good Terry Pratchett gateway book is Moving Pictures, which is basically the world of Ankh-Morpork is kind of this rough and tumble Wild West society that doesn't have a lot of technology, except technology is driven by magic. So, but basically in that environment, essentially, classic age Hollywood starts up and kind of like takes on so many weird turns and twists. It's great. So if you're looking for a book recommendation, Terry Pratchett's Moving Pictures is what I have to share.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I for some reason I think that one of my there are some books that like I will always love forever. I will reread where was it Tollbooth? Was it Phantom Tollbooth? Like every year. I hadn't read it in like 15 years, and then I read it on my 30th birthday, and oh my god, like blew my mind how different it was than I remember it being. Just because like you read, like your life is different, and you understand subtleties, and you can see other people's views, and like things will annoy you that you didn't before. But I love Nora Roberts books.
Yeah, Nora Roberts knows what she's doing, man.
Yeah, dude, they're so much fun. Like I can devour like 3 in a day. I mean, if that's what I'm doing, but like, no, they're fun escapes. They're like, you know what they are? They're the lethal weapons of movies.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's the thing. Like, anytime people shit on romance novels, I'm like, what the fuck are you? If you've ever read a Tom Clancy book in your life, then you can go to hell. Like, if you're gonna drag romance novels for being predictable, and
yeah.
I mean, romance novels, Tom Clancy novels are you could argue that they're less predictable. Maybe, I don't know. I've maybe read 1 or 2 Tom Clancy novels in my life, but the point is that like genre is genre. All genres. I mean, and the point of genre is to create a framework that readers can understand, and it's what you do within it that makes it special and exciting. And I've read beautiful writing within the romance world. I've read terrible writing as well, but I've also read wonderful writing in the thriller world, and I've read wonderful writing in it's you just can't paint everything with the same brush, and you can't. And dumping on a genre just because women like it, by the way, makes you an asshole.
Because assholes are useful and important to life. They're belly button lint. And actually, I have a massive soft spot in my heart for romance novels because a friend of mine has actually been on the cover of 3 of them now.
Nice.
He actually, let me see if I can find them. He actually signed them for me, which I think is like the funniest.
That's perfect.
So he was on 3 Little Words. That's my buddy Tim.
Damn, he's got a chin.
He is disgustingly attractive. And not evil.
No, when he posed for that, was he actually on a motorcycle?
He was on a motorcycle, but the girl wasn't behind him. But no, he's like he was on my show a few months ago, and he's just like the nicest guy in the whole world, and he looks like that. I'm like, okay, just stop it. Like, there's nothing controversial about him. He's just the nicest, most beautiful man in the world, who I love to the core of me. He's just like my favorite person, and he's a massive Star Wars fan.
Yeah, that's vexing.
It's upsetting, but it's like, oh, you're like a brother to me. It's fine. He's gonna make some girl very, very happy one day. But yeah, I love romance novels. They're just so much fun, and like, yes, they're stupid and funny and ridiculous, but like, who cares?
It's whatever, whatever gets you through the day, man. Like, and they make people happy. And, in this world, like, I'd take that any day. God, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was going to say my mom used to go to romance novel conventions, and apparently in a popular event at romance novel conventions, I don't know if your friend ever participated in these, was there would be an event in the afternoon that would be a garden walk with the cover models, because there would be cover models who attend the romance novel conventions, and they would just do publicity events, and they'd hang out, and and most of the attendees of romance novel conventions are women, older women. My mom would go, and she'd be like, they're all very nice boys, and they're all very nice to look at. They're also the same age as my son.
Yeah.
And, so it was never like salacious or anything. It was just like nice. Everyone at romance novel conventions has a really nice time.
That sounds so lovely. Like, I'm sad that there aren't conventions right now, because
you want to go on the garden walk.
Literally, when you're like romance novels convention, I was like, let's look up and see where they are. Like, that sounds like so much fun.
I mean, admittedly, right now, just like I know it's bad, because I'm never like a huge world traveler or anything. Like, I love travel, but I'm not like, I don't like actively crave it necessarily. But this last like day or so, this whole kerfuffle over Ted Cruz going to Cancun, there's been this part of my brain the whole time that's like, God, that sounds nice. Just like get on the plane, go to Cancun, especially if I mean, admittedly, I don't have any constituents I'm leaving to freeze to death in their homes in Texas. Yeah. So I don't feel as guilty about fantasizing about going to Cancun, as some other people probably should feel. But Cancun sounds nice.
What? Steve, do you know Tim?
I feel like there's a lot to process here.
He's a nice boy. He posed for my new book last month. His mom and I had tea last. Steve. We need to figure this out, because if you know Tim, then this world is much, much smaller than I already thought it was, as minuscule as it was. Because you play that game of like, oh yeah, I know this guy, and it's like 3 to 4 degrees of separation. Like, almost everybody I've ever talked to is like within 2.
I mean, that's been the shocking thing for me in the Schmodown, is like how many people the way I know Ethan is like kind of like a threefold thing, where I met him for the first time in 2002, because his now wife starred in a student film I made, and when as an actor, if you do a student film basically for a copy of the movie for your reel, so they met up with me at like a Starbucks in West Hollywood to pick up their movie like once it was done. And so that's when I first met Ethan and then we ran into each other 3 years later at a house party that a friend of mine was holding, because a friend of mine, that said friend, was working at Silver Pictures as a post PA. So that's and literally, like, so Meredith and I see each other and we're like, we know each other, but we can't remember why. We're literally going back through our entire life stories. Like, did you go to space camp? Did you go to theater camp? Like, like, and we never overlapped in that way until eventually we figured out, oh, that's right, there was that student film I made in college, and so a couple of years ago. And also there was another person at that party who knew Meredith from something else. So like there was just like, yeah, it's like you said, like the first and second degree stuff is like wild.
Yeah,
so it's like there are just some people in life you're destined to have met.
Absolutely. And that you keep crossing paths with.
Yeah.
Like those are the fun ones.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I was just like, wait a minute, this world is way smaller than I thought. I'm curious if Bib and Liz are co-chairs in the Schmodown Cat Club. Coy and Perry are officers.
Well, I would say that Coy seems to have a lot easier time getting Spidey Cat on camera. Like,
yeah.
Anytime I've gotten Tank Girl on camera, it's been me basically waking up that morning knowing at some point today I have to film a promo, and I just have to time it to, I have to wait for her to be in the right mood, whatever that mood might be. And like right now I could probably pull something off, but I already filed my promo for the Roka match, so I'm good there. But yeah, I would say Coy and Bibbs have co-chair duties, and I am a humble officer.
Well, now that you brought up your match,
Sure.
let's talk about that for a hot sec, because I've faced Roka before, and you're facing Roka, and I've lost to both of you, so this is going to be really fun for me.
Well, this is a very is this an Alien versus Predator situation? No matter who wins, we lose, or is it no matter who loses, we win?
I think I'm just excited to watch the fight.
Sure. I mean,
it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back and studying. Like I've got a little time because I think I have a little time. I think it's live. I don't think it's being pre-taped.
You might want to double check that. I can't remember because literally you were like, oh yeah, my match against Roka, and I was like, wait, has that been announced yet? Oh no, it has.
Okay, yeah, that's right. There was a Twitter poll. I lost the Twitter poll. People think I'm not going to win. Oh, that's fine. That's happened before, and it's worked out okay for me. I mean, yeah, it'll be fun. Like I mean, at the very least, I know he has good hat game, so I respect that. And he, I feel like I've seen him play, and I've been like, I feel like we're on par. Like if that makes sense. Like I feel like we're not terribly far off from each other in terms of ability, and I think it's going to be like pretty much every match where it's like it depends on the categories, and in general, like I feel like I have a pretty good I kind of average out nicely in round one, like at 6 or 7, and then someday I'm gonna have a perfect round one, and that's gonna be the best day. But I have not yet achieved that. But I'll it's gonna theoretically it'll be like it usually is, which is that all the my usual sort of decent enough round one, and hopefully round 2 will go my way, and depending on how round 2 goes, the third round will decide it. Like
you're really hoping for a round 2 like you had against me, because that was great for you.
Yeah, I mean, and that was me leaning into one of the very few bits of Schmodown strategy that I know I feel fairly confident is universal, which is if it's a new category, it will be it will not be as tough as others. Like,
yeah,
that's not the first time. Like when I had that match against JTE where where he got Ridley Scott, which is a very popular category and has been picked a lot of times, and ergo he got questions about what animal is on Maximus's armor. And meanwhile, like I ended up with monster movies, which I basically I hate to say I got stuck with it, but like it was my second spin and I didn't have any choice. And and I believe that category was relatively new at the time, and ergo it, the question of who played Dracula in the 1992 Dracula is an easy question. I will not deny it. Nobody's going to deny that. But, that's the way the categories break sometimes. And so, I mean, it's one of those things where I kind of have the mantra of like, it's a really fun game to play, and we get a certain amount of money for appearing in a match. And that certain amount of money is not anything to sneer at. That is also not a large amount of money. And so I feel like I'd get in trouble if I said how much it was, but it's not a large amount.
Yeah, we're not allowed to say.
Is that actually in the rule?
I don't think I don't think we are, but I think that if we do, that we will get we'll get a text from the principal.
Okay. All right. Well, I won't say it, but I will say that, like, maybe Ethan and I have had conversations where it's just like, at the end of the day, it's blank.
Yeah.
Blank per match. And it's just like, it's a fun game to play. And the second it stops being fun is probably the second you should re-examine your relationship with it.
Yeah.
And which is, it's like, I mean, honestly, if someone asked me for advice on the showdown, my advice would be relax, it's blank amount of money a match, have fun with it. And if you're worried about not having a strong on-camera persona, just wear a hat.
Or have a really mouthy manager.
One or the other. Actually, both worked out pretty well for me.
That's true. You had both last year because you're with Sam this season, right?
Yeah. I've been meaning to text the old group chat for the old swag group chat just to say, hey, I miss you guys, because I do miss them. They're great. And I'm rooting for Chandru on Friday because he's, when he went in real life, he's the sweetest guy, and he's also just an incredible competitor. So I'm very excited to see how he does.
Yeah. So we all know where you're going for that one. What do you think of the girls' Star Wars match?
I don't know the people competing in the Star Wars division as well as I'd like, mostly because I had a scarring experience playing the Star Wars Trivial Pursuit game years ago, where I was like, I was feeling good. Like, I've seen Star Wars, I've seen the movies. I feel like I should be able to answer some Star Wars trivia questions. And I just remember looking at one of the cards and being like, I know I'm a nerd. I know stuff. This is not in English. Like, when you get into like alien planets, and when you get into knowing the names of planets and species, and like, I know some of the characters in Mos Eisley's Cantina. I know it's called Mos Eisley's Cantina. I think I've even read, I think when I was very young, I read the novelization Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina. I mean, I grew up in a Star Wars family. Like, this is why, like, my point is that I have massive respect for for the Star Wars competitors, just because I am staggered by the level of knowledge you have to have in order to play Star Wars, play IG in general. Like, the IG matches, like, every once in a while I feel like I get a good pull watching, but I'm very happy working in the general knowledge area. Like, I'm very happy keeping that as my focus.
Yeah, I get really excited when we were doing in studio matches. Like, whenever a Star Wars match would come in, I'd be like, I know I'm not going to get any of these points, but if I do, I get really proud of myself. So, like, I think one of the questions that they asked was like, what does Maz Kanata refer to Chewie as? And I was like, oh, I know this one. Like, I got ridiculously excited. I was like jumping out of my chair. I was like, I can't remember who was sitting next to me, and I was like, I know this one. Like, be proud of me. I remember this one.
No, it's like, yeah.
Like the random ones where they're like, what color? And I'm like, blue. I got it right. Yeah, those matches are insane. Like, I thought that I loved Star Wars before, and I realized that I just liked it because they love it. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't call. I don't know who's gonna win, Laura or Molly. I mean, they're both incredibly strong contenders, and I think it's gonna be who blinks first. in the second round, because I don't know if either of them are going to get a perfect first round, because I know they're going super hard in the paint for the questions, because like it is a number one contenders match.
Right.
So I don't see either of them getting. I see both of them missing one in the first round, and then I think round two, it's whoever blinks first is going to be the one that gets in trouble. So it'll be really interesting to see. I'm so excited to see Mara back competing against Chandru. I think it's going to be a really great match, because she's so dry and chill, and he's like a kid with a firecracker with medication. So it's nice it'll be fun to watch that dichotomy exist.
Yeah, I think I think that'll be a really great match. And yeah, I mean, I in general, like, I like the fact that it's a strong female led group. I actually, what I'm really excited about is the I forget what they're officially calling it, but basically the Black Cinema match that they're doing as well, kind of separately, I guess. Like,
yeah, they're doing the Black Cinema exhibition match for the Skybound Expo, which is happening. I believe it's supposed to start around 3:20 p.m. On the Skybound website.
Okay.
And then I believe the live event is supposed to start at 5.
Right.
These are all Pacific time, because I can only deal with Pacific times because I'm that special.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll be. I think all of that will be great, and I think, you know, it's nice that Christian has been listening to, you know, calls for more diversity and calls for more representation. Yeah, I mean, it was funny. Like, there's a part of me at the beginning of this conversation, I almost wanted to ask you, like, why do you think like women have a hard time like breaking in for the Schmodown? And
I don't think they have a hard time breaking in. I think it's more of like because Christian's always willing to definitely give people chances. It's never it's never an issue of breaking into or like getting his attention. I actually think that it's easier for females to get into the league. I just think that it's finding the people who, because, you know, being on the show used to be an incredibly toxic, like there used to be an incredibly toxic nature to the fandom, where, you know, like the comments would just be littered with hate for any female competitor, calling her stupid, or if she was attractive, calling her a slut. And like, it was a lot of brutality that was being dealt with as a female competitor. So I think he was just having an issue finding females who were willing to have a thick enough skin to put up with it, and also like help, because Christian and everybody behind the scenes did such an amazing job within the last like 2-3 years of like making sure that the fandom knew that toxicity was not going to be tolerated.
No, I mean, it was something like, as someone who's been on the internet for a long ass time, like it was something I anticipated facing when I came in. And, and you know, I was prepared for it to some degree, and also prepared to walk away if it became too much. But I do think it's been, for my part, like, you know, I can't recall any. I can't recall. I don't. I mean, I read, and I arguably read way more of the comments and so forth than I probably should. But I don't recall any, for example, any comments about my weight. And like, I think whatever they have been doing over the last few years, especially since I joined, or since, I guess, before I joined, because I've never really faced this as an issue. But whatever they've been doing, like, has been working to some degree. Like, and I do think they deserve a lot of credit for that. Like, so yeah, I mean, that is good. I mean, I think in the whole question of toxicity around everything, like, I should not speak to, frankly, because I don't know enough about, you know, not only did I only join the Schmodown in like post those times you're talking about, but I also, you know, work with people at Collider who, you know, remembered I only started working at Collider back in May, so I don't understand anything that happened beforehand. I just hear things were not great, and things are a lot better now. And actually, everyone I work with at Collider is fantastic. So,
Oh yeah.
I'm even Jeff Snyder. You know what? Jeff Snyder's a real sweetheart.
Jeff was on my show last week, and
Aw.
he and I actually have an incredible, like, close connection. Like, the girl who got him started in the industry is somebody that I literally have known since birth. Like,
Wow.
we grew up down the street from each other. We were in Brownies and Girl Scouts together. Like, we grew up together, and then she went to NYU, worked at a radio station, and gave Jeff Snyder all of her screener passes. And that's how he got his start in the industry. So, like,
yeah, I mean,
again,
I think not everyone's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, and Jeff Snyder certainly made his share of them. But he's in many, you know, I don't know. People, I've been, you know, in the world at large, there have been a lot of really shitty people, but I've been really really fortunate, I think, over the last, you know, year to be generally surrounded by pretty great people. In you know, for in both my work life, my personal life, and things like the Schmodown.
Yeah, I was with you regarding the like, I was very prepared to hear or to see any comments about, like, my weight or my size, because I am almost 6 feet tall. I am not a shrinking violet. I am not a stick thin, like, LA girl. And so I was very prepared for those. And I think the worst thing, and by worst I mean, like, the most hurtful thing I've ever seen on any of the comments of my matches, somebody said that Rachel has a mom bod. But immediately underneath it, somebody posted, literally within, like, seconds, somebody responded to them and said, "Your mom has a mom bod." And I'm like, I can't be mad about that. Like, like, it's funny. Like, oh, I look like a caring person who gave birth and loves their children. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I mean, I've got stretch marks, but I haven't birthed a child. But cool, thanks. And, like, the fact that that's the worst that I put up with, like, literally goes to show how much work was done by the women before I came in.
Yeah,
like,
no, and they all deserve
incredible.
These are huge amounts of credit. Like, you know, they definitely paved the way, and, you know, it's an honor. It's an honor to be following their footsteps.
Yeah, and to continue the work, because it's never done. You know, there's always going to be, like, every now and then, like somebody will pop their head up and start, you know, spouting off, like, stupid misogynistic vitriol, and, like, the fans are the first to start to stomp it down. And, like, that is a huge testament to this environment, and to the love that everybody has for it, and the competitors. And, you know, like, everybody stands to, like, we all fight amongst ourselves and, like, have our, you know, have our battles against each other. We have our nemesis in the Schmodown, but, like, when it comes down to it, we will stand shoulder to shoulder with each other and fight against anybody who tries to tear this down. So
yeah,
fuck them.
I'm just looking forward to going, like, because I started off, and the story around me was that I was overhyped and wasn't as good as everyone said. And then I had a good run, and now there's all these high expectations. So I'm looking forward to crushing all those expectations again and just disappointing everyone. Looking forward to that. Just gonna keep you all guessing.
Nice.
So you'll never know. Am I going to blow your mind, or am I going to blow your mind?
Got to keep them on their toes.
Yeah, it can't be predictable.
No, it sounds so boring.
It does.
Oh, that's the worst. All right, we are closing in on 2 hours. I don't know how much.
I should get going.
Yeah, let's give it 5 more minutes, guys. If you have any more questions, send them into the stream.
I'm gonna scroll back up. I'm gonna see, like, what maybe we missed something.
We've got a few. Yeah, Mara is great. She and Cushing epic. I had so much empathy for her that she couldn't get some traction competing. Yeah, I mean, well, she had some health issues that prevented her from competing at the beginning of last season in New York. She's feeling much better now, and that's all we can hope for. And you know, I'm just hoping that she's in a really good place so that she can put up a really good fight against Chandru, because there's nothing better than watching a bloody blow for blow drag out fight in the Schmodown. It is so much fun.
Yeah, no matter what happens in that match, it's going to be fun to watch.
Oh yeah, I'm just excited for the promos too. Like that's just gonna be so good.
Yeah. Chris Taylor notes that Mel Gibson had the coolest mullet, which is a good statement. Is a fair statement.
He definitely had a Farrah Fawcett flip going on, especially in the first two, for sure. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And we got some fun ones. Yeah, dude, funk and Motown.
Yeah. No, Motown.
So much fun.
Yeah, there. I think like, God, I have like one of my first CDs I ever bought was like the 16 best ever Supreme songs, and so many of those, like, they're just transporting. Like, you know, there's something about the Motown sound that's just a beautiful thing to behold.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's every time I go to Detroit, I always visit Motown Row.
Nice.
And go to like the places where it was literally created, and it's sad because a lot of the area has been kept up, but like you can still just kind of have that feeling. It's like going to oh my god, what's the one in Memphis? I can picture the logo. It's like Sunrise or something. It's the studio where oh my god, Jerry Lee Lewis recorded, and Elvis, and
I wish I knew. Like the only I've only been to Memphis once, and we just went to Graceland.
Oh, you didn't go down Beale Street?
No, it was a whole thing where I was with I was driving cross country with a friend, and we were the car we had borrowed to drive across the country was stick. Was a manual transmission, and she didn't really know how to drive manual. She was just kind of learning as she went. I couldn't drive manual at all. So the rule was we can go like one place, and it was a very fun trip, but there were some peculiar rules to it. But Graceland was really cool.
Oh, Sun Studio. I figured it out. It's Sun Studio. Cool. Yeah, Graceland's beautiful, but I miss driving stick shift. Oh my god. I do. I had a car that was stick shift, and I loved it, and I moved cross country twice with it. Oh god, I love that car. For a second I thought you said O-Town.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
As we learned from Magic Mike XXL, the only good boy band is the Backstreet Boys. And I apologize. I apologize to O-Town, but they ain't nothing.
I mean, O-Town is fun if you want to get that like really dirty, gritty boy band like sound.
A really dirty, gritty boy band sound.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's like the really pretty boy band sound of like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, and then like everything underneath it was just like everybody wanted to be them, but they weren't them. They were wearing like the knockoff dresses, like it was just a. Never mind. I have a visual of it all. O-Town's fun. Yes, dude. Graceland reminds me of Zombieland. It really does. It's the double tap. Yeah, 100%. When they go there and it's all demolished, like my heart breaks. All right, I'm gonna check.
But I got to go. When we went to Graceland, we accidentally stumbled across it during Elvis Week, which is 8 days long. It's in August, or no, July. I think July. It's around Elvis's birthday. Is it Elvis's birthday or the anniversary of his death? I think it's the anniversary of his death now that I think about it. Point is, Elvis Week basically turned like the area around Graceland, which is already like basically tourist like marts and so forth, becomes basically like a street fair. And there's live performance, and people just like, have like their vendors out selling food. It was wonderful. It was a really cool experience. we just kind of lucked into it.
Steve, but Liz, how is your mental state on a scale of sad to Joe Meccano?
I'm feeling good, guys. Like I'm relaxed. I've been enjoying this refreshing seltzer beverage. It's just like this like rosemary flavored syrup I made, and then Perrier, and I finished my drink, but it was very light and refreshing.
I was wondering
I'm feeling very much like I could go do a striptease in a convenience store and make a girl smile if I had Joe's abs. I do not.
I mean,
so it will not be happening.
To be fair, if anybody does a strip tease to that song with that much conviction, I don't care what your body looks like. I'm going to laugh because that is fucking amazing. All right, so everybody is done with Streamlabs. So I'm going to ask my famous last question. It is my favorite. It's from one of my favorite movies that we talked about earlier, Almost Famous. It is the last question that William gets to ask in the movie. Do you have to be happy to write a love song? Do you have to be sad to write a sad song? What is it that you love about music?
And I can't cheat and just say everything.
No, you don't get to quote.
Yes. I think what I love about music is because it works. It's just one of your senses. It's just one sense that it captures. It can be so much more intense an experience than anything else because, especially if it can, expand beyond that, if that makes any sense. I think music makes me feel things on a level that everything else doesn't. And like, there are times when like, I'll just start singing along to a song and I'll just start crying. And I didn't even know I didn't know I needed to cry. I didn't know that I had those emotions in me, but there's just something about that moment, that song, the way it triggered whatever part of my lizard brain had this emotion within it. Like there's movies have such power to them, but there's nothing really like a great song.
I love that. And I love that every time I ask that question, I get a very different answer. Everybody say thank you to Liz for coming on. This was so much fun. I'm so glad we got to talk and hang out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Tell the kids where they can find you and what you got going on.
You can find me on Twitter at Lizlet. That's Lizlet. If you want like a compendium of all the various weird things I work on, LizShannonMiller.com. Has basic links to, a lot of my different projects, past, present, and future. And you can usually, as of right now, at least, Collider, I don't think I've said anything tonight that'll get me fired. So I still work at Collider as TV editor. So that means fun, for this week I managed to write about things that weren't WandaVision, which was very exciting for me. That's not been the case for the last couple of weeks. Because WandaVision's been pretty all-consuming. But WandaVision, for all your WandaVision coverage plus other things that aren't WandaVision, Collider has been a wonderful home for me and my work for the last several months, and I am extraordinarily grateful to be there.
That's great. I'm so glad that you come on, and guys, check her out everywhere. Don't forget, tomorrow is the very first Schmodown Throwdown. It's the beginning of season 8 War, and we've got Chandru Dhanapani facing Mara Kanapik for the Inner Geekdom title belt. I believe they're the main match, and then we've got Laura Kelly versus Molly Damon in the Star Wars #1 contender match. Super excited! And then don't forget to turn in next week when I have Patrick Hogue on. I'm so excited. He's one of my favorite Canadians of all time. He's going to be on next Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to talk all about his projects that he has coming out. He's an actor. He's in so many fantastic movies. He actually has this film that he did called So that won a ton of awards. It is a very creepy horror movie. Highly recommend checking it out. It's really, really good. But until then, guys, enjoy your weekend. I'll see you tomorrow in the chat for the Schmodown Throwdown. And now we get to do my favorite thing ever and do the awkward dance off. So guys, take care of yourselves. Be happy. Wear your masks. Wash your hands. Please, let's get this whole pandemic thing under order so that Liz and I can hang out at a taping and, actually just be real people. But take care of yourselves. Love each other. Yeah, and have a great night.